was racking my brain trying to figure out how to do something big to push the movement forward. And that was last fall. And I couldn't, we were marching everywhere. We still are. As a majority, we haven't given up hope, but we've kind of been stuck in neutral the last number of months, and the cop killings haven't gotten any better. They haven't gone down. And neither have the arrests or anything else. So I kind of remember what Malcolm X was going to do before he got killed. He was going to go to the UN and try to get them to charge the United States with human rights violations against Black people. And then I started thinking, well, yeah, that's a good idea, but there's another side of that coin. Native people are still here. There's still 5 million of them, over 5 million in the United States, and they're going through a genocide that nobody knows about. And they're killed by cops more than we are. The hate crime stats are a little hard to read because crimes against natives on the reservations are so hard to track, because it's like a different country almost in terms of, U.S. law versus, native reservation law, and in terms of law enforcement and all that. But natives and Blacks are killed by hate crimes more than anybody. So they need help too. And one thing that's really bugged me the last couple weeks, the Flint water crisis thing. I mean, yes, Flint needs all the water they can get, and I support them as much as I can. And I mean, for goodness sake, water is a human right, but at the other side of that, I'm looking like, well, we got hundreds of native reservations with the exact same problem, and it's been happening for forever, and no one's talking about it. So I'm like, well, do they matter? But they don't matter, but the people in Flint matter. I mean, it's just messing with my brain, and it's been annoying me. I'm like, human beings are all equal. We're not supposed to single anybody out. But that goes to the whole point of Native people are erased all the time. One very wise woman, Dolores Schilling, who hosts a wonderful show, Native Trailblazers, with her husband, Vince Schilling, she told me something really profound a while back. She said, in order for our lives to matter, she said, people have to realize we're still here. Many people do not realize that Native people still exist. Some people think they're all dead, and extinct. So a lot of it is just pure, unadulterated propaganda and erasure of Native people. And that's one big part of the march. To put this genocide, which, you look at the definition of what the UN defines as genocide, the US is still committing 4 of those atrocities against Native people, killing members of the group, they're doing that, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, they're doing that, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. I just learned this recently. Native children in South Dakota are sold to white families. They are kidnapped and sold to white families for cash. So that's happening as well. And then deliberately inflicting on the group's conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction in whole or in part. Anybody who knows anything about how the Native reservations came about, they were built to kill off the Native race. Just that's how they were built. Adolf Hitler looked at how America was treating these people with the reservations, and then, I could use that for the Holocaust. And if anybody watching doesn't believe me, look it up. So 4 out of the 5 is still going on here. The one that thankfully isn't happening anymore, sort of my knowledge, is the sterilization, the prevention of births within a group. That did happen. They did that to them for years and years and years. In fact, George H.W. Bush, our 41st president, when he was in Congress, he enacted the Family Planning Act, which saw to the sterilization of over 3,000 Native women. He never went to prison for it, but right now, four of those five pillars of genocide that the UN defines as genocide is being inflicted on Native people by the United States. So one of the big goals is just to get that into the mainstream, get that on people's TV screens, on the phones, on the computers, worldwide and nationally. My father, he was in the civil rights group when he was in the 60s. He was born in the 40s, but he marched in the 60s. He was a Black Panther for a very short time. And he taught me something that will always stick with me. One thing that turned the tide in the United States to make people finally wake up to see how bad racism was to Black people was the images on the TV screens. All the dogs, just being sicked on Black people, all the hoses blasting on Black people, the church bombings, the cross burnings, the whole deal. And people were forced to make a decision. They go, okay, well, do we like this? Do we like this racism? Sadly, there are people still then and now that still want that. Or, well, we need to stop this, and this is horrible. And that's what I'm trying to do with all my body, mind, and soul, is to get that out there, to force people to make that decision about Native people. And one thing I always try to stress to my people is Black people need to help Native people. We need to connect with them because they don't have a voice. We have BET, we have TV One, we have Oprah, we have LeBron James. We have voices. They don't have voices. If we use our voice to help them, it can do wonders. And I'm inviting anybody who supports equality, but especially any Black people who want to support Native people. I implore my people to do so.